Hello, everyone. Welcome to Legal Learning. My name is Sarah Barker. I'm an attorney with the Senior Citizen Law Project at Coast to Coast Legal Aid. Today, we're going to be talking about an important topic of safe housing, keeping seniors safe in their homes. So we see a lot of seniors come in with the same issue. They are living in their own home, their own residence, and they've invited somebody in to live with them. Perhaps it's a family member or a friend. And the senior no longer wants that person there. There may be many factors involved as to why they no longer wish for that person to be there, and we'll discuss them today. We'll discuss some things seniors can do to protect themselves and some remedies they have to remove someone from the home if they find themselves in this situation. So the first thing we're going to look at is what is happening in the home. What are some things that are going on between the senior citizen and the occupant that they've invited to live there? It could be many different things. It could be verbal abuse, constantly yelling, demeaning the senior, saying nasty things, threatening them. It could be actual physical abuse where they're assaulting the senior, hitting, pushing, grabbing. It could be financial exploitation. It could be that they are, the seniors trusted them to maybe go to the grocery store with their debit card and they have spent it on many different things other than grocery items. It could be that they've stolen their financial information and are using it for their own gain. The occupant may start controlling the senior, not allowing the senior to have contact that they normally would have with family and friends, trying to keep the senior isolated. Perhaps they're monitoring their phone calls or keeping their cell phone or the senior's phone on them so the senior can't talk freely. They may be making the senior feel uncomfortable. Perhaps they're bringing in other guests. Maybe they're much younger than the senior and they're bringing in guests and they're there at late hours of the night and they're making the senior feel uncomfortable, unsafe. And they may be failing to provide necessary care for the senior. So they may be in there to help care for the senior and they're not providing them with the care that they're supposed to be providing or giving the senior the basic necessities that they need. A lot of times seniors have concerns about taking action when they're in this type of situation. And there's many concerns. Here's a few that we often deal with. They may not want to take action against a family member. It's very difficult to come forward that someone in your family is not treating you correctly, and it's very difficult. They may worry about retaliation. Right now, they're in their own home, and they may worry, or they may be told that if they report this or if they complain about it, that they're going to end up in assisted living or a nursing home. So we'll go through just a random fact pattern and get an idea of some options seniors may have if unfortunately they are in a situation where someone is living with them and they are not treating them correctly. So the first thing we're going to look at is our scenario. So here we have a grandmother allows her adult grandson to move in after college while he looks for a job. So that's very common, family allowing people to live with them while their other family members living with them while they're starting their life. You know, they just graduated college, so maybe they're looking for work. So in this situation, and this happens a lot, the job search isn't going well. And he was going to stay there a few months and now it's 6 months and he's still there. The grandson has made himself at home. He has friends coming over and drinking late at night. And the grandmother is afraid of having strangers in the home. There's no rental agreement and the grandson does not pay any utilities. So what can the grandmother do? So in this situation, one thing she might be able to do is file an action in county court, which is known as unlawful detainer. This is not an eviction. Oftentimes, clients will try to remove an occupant through an eviction action, but that won't work if there's no landlord-tenant relationship. So for an unlawful detainer, there's no agreement, oral or written, to pay rent, and no payment is exchanged between the owner and the occupant to live in the home. Unlawful detainer is governed by Chapter 82 of the Florida statute, and it's filed in county court, and it's a summary proceeding similar to eviction. Unlawful detainer is about who has the right to possession of the property. So it's only looking at who has the right to be living there. If you decide to do an unlawful detainer, it may be that the defendant wants to claim that they have an interest in the property, or they own the property, or they have an ownership interest in the property. If they do have that claim, then it may become a different cause of action known as an ejectment, and an ejectment action is going to be in circuit court. For unlawful detainer, unlike eviction, there is no pre-suit notice required. However, oftentimes, depending on the circumstances, it may just be that the senior needs to have a letter to the occupant stating, please be out by this date. I've asked you to leave, you haven't left. And sometimes they will leave and the senior doesn't end up having to file unlawful detainer, but there is no required pre-suit notice for filing an unlawful detainer. So we're going to change the facts a little bit. So now the grandmother has still allowed the grandson to move in after college, and the grandson convinces the grandmother to sign a power of attorney, or the grandson convinces the grandmother to sign a power of attorney over to him, and he will pay her bills, manage her finances, and she doesn't have to think about it. And this is common for a lot of seniors and even non-seniors to have powers of attorney. However, of course, you want to make sure it's with a trusted individual and you're still reviewing your own finances. So here, the grandmother likes this idea. She's been getting confused lately, and she was even recently diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. So a few months later, the grandmother finds, to her surprise, a notice in the mail threatening foreclosure due to unpaid mortgage payments. And upon review of her finances, her bank statements show multiple purchases for jewelry stores, and that the $30,000 that was in her retirement account is now gone. So here, while she could still do an unlawful detainer, there may be another cause of action that may be more appropriate for her. And that's going to be an injunction for protection against exploitation of a vulnerable adult. That's under Florida statute chapter 825. It defines a vulnerable adult as a person 18 years of older whose ability to perform normal activities of daily living or to provide for his or her own care or protection is impaired due to a mental, emotional, sensory, long-term physical or developmental disability or dysfunction or brain damage, or the infirmities of aging. And exploitation, just a few things from its definition. It's depriving the vulnerable adult of their funds or property. It's a breach of fiduciary duty, and it can be misuse of bank account or failure to provide for necessities. So what does this type of injunction do? So here, this type of injunction, the court can enter a temporary ex parte injunction prior to the final hearing. And the court can do different things depending on the circumstances. If there's assets that have been transferred or money leaving bank accounts, the court can freeze those assets in bank accounts. The court can order return of personal property, and the court can order exclusive use and possession of the home. So this way, this would be a way for the senior to have that individual removed from the home. And the court, however, cannot address in this injunction any change in title to real property. So if the senior was defrauded out of title to real property, they would still need to file a separate action. Okay, so we're going to change the facts one more time. So again, nice grandmother allows her grandson to move in after college. He's still there, job search didn't go well. The The grandson has now started drinking more frequently. The other night he punched a hole through the wall and next to where the grandmother was sitting. When she commented on this, he threw a beer bottle at her head and she had to seek medical attention. He told her if she takes any action, he will throw her in a home because no one will believe her given her early stage Alzheimer's. So here, one thing we might consider for this senior is to file an injunction for protection against domestic violence. Domestic violence means any assault, aggravated assault, battery, aggravated battery, sexual assault, sexual battery, stalking, aggravated stalking, kidnapping, false imprisonment, or any criminal offense resulting in physical injury or death of one family or household member by another family or household member. So here this would fall under domestic violence since they're living together and as family, they are family. And if for some reason they weren't living together and they weren't family, she may be able to, depending on the circumstances, file an injunction under repeat violence or stalking violence. So the procedure for obtaining a domestic violence injunction, the circuit court has a domestic violence division. You would file your petition. The victim will be the petitioner and the abuser is the respondent. Here, the petitioner can request exclusive use and possession of the home. So again, this would be where she could have him removed from the home and also get an order that he stays away from her. The court may order a temporary injunction before the final hearing so that the victim is protected in the interim. And there is a lot of information on injunctions. It can be found on our Coast to Coast Legal Aid website, which is here, coasttocoastlegalaid.org, what we do, family law. And also the Broward County Clerk of Court Domestic Violence Division has a lot of information on their website. If you are a victim of, or if you know someone is, a senior is being abused, that can be reported, it needs to be reported to the Florida Abuse Hotline. There is an online capability to report it here, and that's going to be at www.myflfamilies.com, and there's the abuse hotline. You can report it there. You can report by phone, it's 1-800-96-ABUSE, and you can also report by fax. And we'll wrap up with just a couple of prevention tips so that just things to things to keep in mind whenever you're doing anything involving your home or having someone living with you. Carefully consider allowing someone to move in with you. A lot of times, you want to be nice and help a family or friend out who may have an issue temporarily with housing. But consider all those things before you let them move in and how they're going to exit the property. Be wary of someone rushing you to sign any type of estate planning document, advance directives, or changing title to your home, especially if it was not initially your idea. It should never be done in a rush, and you should take time to review the documents. You can review the documents with other trusted family members and/or an attorney. Review your bank statements every month. Make sure you're looking at your statements and reviewing the transactions. Check your credit report at least once a year. You can ask your financial institution about any fraud alert programs you may be eligible for. And if you own a home, you can sign up for online with the Broward County Property Appraiser's Office. They have an owner alert. And if any documents or any change in title is filed regarding your home, you will be instantly alerted. A lot of times seniors or anyone is not aware of a change in title if it's done by fraud until they get the tax bill and they see the tax bill now has a different name. So these are just different things that to keep in mind. We want seniors to be able to stay in their homes, and if they're in their homes, we want them to remain safe. So thank you for joining me today, and you can turn in every Thursday at noon for more legal learning. Please join us next week for our each unit, who will be presenting on the very important topic of military sexual trauma. So I hope everyone has a good day, and please stay safe.